Hello, and welcome everyone to N1P Podcast. Today's show is going to be the 10th episode of Open Basket. And today we're going to discuss a little bit about what we have had discussions about before. We were going to explore the reasons for the change architecture and the start of the destruction of Egyptian temples in the 16th century Napoleon era. We will also discuss a little bit about that effect in this new world that we live in today. We will also have a quick talk about some news topics that concerns us today as well, as we are merging in to a new type of global order. So, so I just want to start off by speaking a little bit about some of the news topics that I've looked up. And I saw something in Daily Maverick speaking about the new scrambled Africa, an antiquated relationship with Europe, unchanged while China and Russia shows increasing interest in the continent. By the person who has written this article is Oluwaseun Tella. I don't know if I said that wrong or if I said it right. He's a director for the future of diplomacy at University of Johannesburg Institute for Knowledge of Future. Um, and this episode, as all episodes, is for educational purposes. So everything I'm speaking about here is for educational purposes. So I will just go and speak on this article very quick, and then we will go over to some historical aspects to Africa, or greatest Africa. And then also we're going to have, as I have every Friday, my beloved guest, Kale, that are here to also inform the public about his knowledge on Pan-Africanism and also what we can combine in the knowledge, the field of knowledge about our great continent and also outside of our continent. So let me just go into the actual article here and just talk a little bit about this. So what Oluwaseun said was, despite the ambition for equal partnership expressed at the recent Africa AU summit, the outcomes of past summits and pledges gives little confidence that we will see the end of an era of asymmetrical donor recipient relationship that harks back to our colonial past. On the 18th or 17th and the 18th of February 2022, the sixth European Union African Union Summit was held in Brussels, Belgium, with the AU welcoming more than 40 African leaders. The two-day meeting was held against the backdrop of EU poor response to COVID-19 in Africa and in the context of the wave of recent coups d'etats across the continent, from Mali to Guinea to Burkina Faso, to mention but a few. In her opinion, Mr. Tella is saying that the opening speech, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen noted that Europe and Africa shares a vision for a stable and prosperous society grounded in economic and social dynamicism. The summit thus provided the platform for strengthening Africa and EU collaboration and to achieve set goals in areas such as good governance, also to achieve investments, most especially in form of global gateway, a plan to invest in the people and infrastructure such as renewable energy, green hydrogen capacity, transportation corridors, and health. Teller also says that through the global gateway, which seemingly provides an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative, von der Leyen envisioned that Europe would also invest about 150 billion euros in Africa over the next 5 to 7 years. The European Investment Bank also pledged 500 million in the form of cheap loans to strengthen the African healthcare system. Given the ongoing pandemic, investments in the health sectors are also very critical. They go on by saying that Europe also has faced criticism for the hoarding of vaccines, an action which has been described as vaccine apartheid and vaccine nationalism, which has also seen only 11% of Africans being fully vaccinated, compared to 87% of EU citizens and a global average of 50% fully vaccinated by the beginning of February. The EU also has seemingly realized that the need to re-strategize its vaccine diplomacy, despite the fact that the EU is the world's largest vaccine exporter, claiming to have donated 400 million vaccine doses to the COVAX initiative and pledging 450 million doses to Africa by the mid 2022. Africa policymakers have also felt strongly that the AU has not done enough at all. Teller also says, however, the bloc now supports Africa's capacity to produce its own vaccines, and factories are also planned to be built in Rwanda, Senegal this year. It also has thrown its weight behind the World Health Organization initiative to establish technological transfer hub for mRNA vaccines productions in 6 key African states, announcing by the WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus at the summit. The 6 countries involved are Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, Tunisia, Senegal. It is a clear victory for the African Union and African hegemons, such as South Africa and Nigeria, that have been vocal in their calls for patients to also to be lifted to ensure vaccine production on the continent itself. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa also has been quoted as saying, a situation in which the population of advanced rich countries are safely inoculated while millions in poor countries die, in the quotes. Would the tantamount to vaccine apartheid stop? Ramaphosa also criticized the travel bans imposed by the West on African states following the discovery of the Omicron variant in South Africa in November 2021. The EU COVID humanitarian assistance to Africa is arguably motivated by the fact that the disease is a pandemic, as there was a lesser response when Africa was hit by the epidemic or epidemics such as the 2014-15 Ebola outbreak, which also came with a lot of a lot of racism in Europe because of Ebola, which is very, very, very crazy. The new scramble for Africa, seen in some states such as China and the United States, as well as Russia, India, and Turkey, especially in the economic, security, environmental spheres, dictates that Europe now competes with other global and regional actors. These states, particularly China and Russia, have also become quite assertive and appear to aspire to fill the void left by traditional actors such as the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, who are losing their hegemonic grip on African states. While France also recently announced withdrawal of its troops from Mali following the military coup there, Russia is building its military influence in Africa, similarly as China is outstripped has outstripped the United States as Africa's largest trading partner in 2009. Europe thus also needs to recalibrate its strategies to remain relevant in Africa. Indeed, the EU conceded at the summit that its past strategies in Africa had not yielded the desired, of course, outcomes, hence the decisions to establish a follow-up mechanism to monitor the EU projects implemented across Africa. Yeah, we don't need this, but yeah, that's what's going on. The imperative to reset the relationship in the face of common opportunities, challenges, prompted the AU and the EU to commit to a joint vision for 2030 during the 2022 summit. The key commitments, as stated in the declaration, includes two unions with a joint vision, a renewed partnership, a prosperous and sustainable Africa and Europe, renewed and enhanced cooperation for peace and security, and enhanced and reciprocal partnership for migration and mobility, and a commitment to multilateralism. Despite these lofty ideas and the ambitious ambitions of equal partners, Teller also says that mutual respect, the minimal impact of past summits and pledges suggests that now and possibly for the foreseeable future, an African EU partnership will continue to perpetuate the format of a donor recipient, some asymmetrical relationship, which is the past or a colonial past that we've had with EU and the EU's states. And that's everything I have on that topic, speaking about the new scramble of Africa. And I want to bring in some guests to speak on this. If you guys have listened to me speaking about the news in Africa, I would love for you to have your say on the new scramble Africa, what you think about it, and then maybe afterwards we can go over to a little bit of the historical interventions by past European colonies in Africa, and the drive for the actual European Renaissance. Please, are you there, Kale? Peace and blessings to you all. If you're not in at the moment, it's okay. I can just I can just go over my my other points that I have If you guys don't have anything else that you want to input into this, if you have, then please uh, take your time to become a part of this session. Speak out, have your say. If you want to be a part of this session, let me just go over and jump over to the next subject, which is going to be a little bit more, a little older than these new news that we've gone through. Um, so the little bit older aspects of what was going on in Egypt, and a little bit of a recap of what we spoke about in episode 9, where we had images portraying different races that came after Noah, peace be upon him. Um, and we're going to discuss a little bit about that, and the reason why certain artifacts were destroyed, manipulated, and made for the purpose of undermining other people's actual achievement in the African continent. So we had a picture of three people or three guys, um, three people that were from three different lands. One was from the land of Shem, the other one was from the land of Ham, and the third one was Yephites, I think the name is. So you have three guys that were displayed in the pyramid, which we now can debunk because that picture itself was actually manipulated by drawing artists that were in Africa in the times of the Napoleonic expedition to Africa. I think it was around 1799, where I'm actually reading through a book. I actually can tell you this is in. It's called the Mystery Traditions, Secret Symbols and Sacred Arts, made by James Wasserman. You can go and check that book out, and see that this guy is actually speaking about traditions, mystery traditions all over the world actually, and its connections. Um, so what I can see here is that the Egyptian temple itself was excavated by Napoleon and his expedition in 1799. The conquest of Egypt by France involved around 34,000 soldiers, sailors, and marines, accompanied by about 500 civilians, including approximately 150 architects, artists, students, and scientists and engineers who faithfully recorded the monuments that overwhelmed them with their ancient splendor. These temples from the Isles of Philae is a beautiful reminder of the grandeur of the Egyptian religious culture and its historical past. The Napoleonic expedition left a powerful artistic account of Egypt before the damage that would occur during the next 200 years after his arrival to Egypt. The Rosetta Stone, which also later revealed the keys to the Egyptian hieroglyphs. We also spoke about that as being the old translator of Greek literature, Egyptian literature, Greek, and I think it was, and Roman literature, I think. And with these stones, like the Rosetta Stone, was used to translate all the scriptures, all the hieroglyphs, the whole hieroglyphic language was discovered during this time and in this expedition by Napoleon. And by this time, we can also understand that a lot of it got damaged afterwards. We also have pictures, images, which I can also put up in our Discord server. If you guys haven't jumped into my Discord server yet, please go into my Discord server. Everything is in the description box. And if you guys want to join, and get your history correct, because a lot of things there that aspires to historical aspects, Afrocentric historical aspects, to get people understand a little bit more about this. We're also going to go through a little bit of a paper here, speaking about the Napoleonic Egyptian scientific expedition and what it led to. So just go through it. As part of his military invasions of Egypt in 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte and the French government commissioned a group of intellectuals to accompany the French army to Egypt. Guys, if you have anything that you want to speak on, please speak now. If you have anything you want to speak on, because I'm just going to go ahead and read a little bit about his expedition and Napoleon. If you guys have nothing to say, then let me just continue.
Yeah, we can continue, brother. Sure.
Okay, so let me continue, and then you can jump in afterwards and say yours, yeah? Is that good? All right.
Yeah, if the
Perfect.
sister, if the sister's
Yeah,
all right with that, I'm okay with it.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, perfect. Let me just go through it then. So Napoleon Bonaparte and the French government commissioned a group of intellectuals to accompany the French army to Egypt. The result of the French scholars' effort in Egypt was also the first large-scale systematic study of Egypt by Europeans. While the military campaign was a failure, we already know that because he lost the war, and Britain actually won the war. Hence the reason why they got more artifacts from Egypt than France. But the associated cultural appropriation of Egypt had a long lasting effect on European culture itself. This also investigates the impact of the Napoleonic Egyptian scientific expedition on the development of the museums in the 19th century. After the examining chief results of the expedition, Dominique Vivant Denon's personal publication, Voyage dans la Haute et la Basse Egypte in 1802. The official endorsement and the description of l'Egypte in 1810 and 1828, as well as the objects that were obtained by the British as per the Treaty of Alexandria in 1801 and installed in the British Museum. This also proposes that the enthusiastic enthusiasm for Egypt created by Napoleon's campaign decisively also influenced the development of the Survey Museum, both in Europe and the United States. While the British Museum was the first archaeological museum to boast a substantial Egyptian collection, the Louvre in Paris became the first Western art museum to form an Egyptian department, thus inserting Egyptian art into Western art canon. By displaying Egyptian art in an art museum that surveyed the development of European art from its origin to the present, the Louvre communicated to the European public not only that Egyptian art was at the root of Greek and Roman art, but also that it also had value, worth of appreciation. This also concludes that it also is likely that without the Napoleon Egyptian scientific expedition, Egyptian art might not have become a part of the Western art canon or a standard element in the Western Art Survey Museum. So that's how big impact Egypt had on European arts, European architecture, European mathematics, European science, STEM, and culture, European culture. So we can't discredit what the Egyptians have given to Egypt, Greece, and everyone else that drew their knowledge from Egypt. So, What's your guys' thoughts on this? If you guys have any thoughts on it, and if you want to put in or add anything, please add. Kayla, I see that you want to speak. You
Yeah,
can.
I just want to say that as far as back as we know, there was a place called Tarseti,
Mm,
which is as classed as present day Sudan, and the
mm,
Nubians were a very advanced African nation,
mm,
and they passed down to the Egyptians a lot of the hieroglyphics, um, a lot of the culture, and a lot of the mannerisms.
mm,
And we know that it was the Kushites and the as what they are called, and the Akbat, the the Kitti,
mm,
the ancient Egyptians,
mm,
um, and they united the Kushites and the Kitti, or the Akbat, the
mm,
ancient Egyptians, and they formulated Egypt.
mm,
And they took on the customs of the Tarsetes, what is called Sudan, and they were
mm,
great. They used to police um, the cities, which is why we've got the word police.
mm,
So definitely, we cannot forget the Kushite Nubians, um,
mm,
and most definitely, the Egyptians. They passed a lot of things. I just want to say also, because I know perhaps the sister would like to have a say,
mm,
is that what I've noticed about the modern day Europeans, they were partially white.
mm,
Um, you know, the origin of them, they were black due to the Japhites, the descendants of Japhet. And we
mm,
know that
mm.
they were, um, black skin as well as,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know.
So those
But what
pictures,
I know,
so that these pictures that we went through last time were not accurate. These pictures were manipulated by
yeah,
someone.
yeah, that's right, yeah,
It can
yeah,
be the Persians or the friends
yeah,
or the guys that
that's
invaded
right, yeah. And
Egypt. Yes.
I appreciate you clarifying that. But what I've
Yeah.
noticed is that these Europeans before, they never used to change
mm,
the artifacts of the statues.
mm,
And it's very interesting how you mentioned Napoleon in that period, that type
mm,
of European who came after. They seem to have changed everything. So it's very interesting. There was like a code of the Europeans back then that,
mm,
to conquer a place, do not change the statues or change the history. Whereas the Europeans, after 14th, 15th century,
mm,
um, they seem to have had a different mindset. They broke the
mm.
code.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a beginning of white supremacy in a way. Yes, most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. Yeah. So Lorna Torri, if you have anything that you want to say as well, you're more than welcome to jump in.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I'll try to say something. I hope I won't lose myself.
No, no,
Like
no.
I had not written down what I want to say, but
Yeah.
anyway, let me see if I can. Let me write
Yeah.
just 2 words so I don't lose myself as I speak.
No, it's okay. Take your time. Take your time. Everything is a learning experience. We Africans, we have to, find these spaces to find, a common cause. Or for some, we need to find this place where we can, educate ourselves on what is facts and what's not facts, what has been manipulated, what has not been manipulated, so that we understand our place in history. Because we
Mm-hmm.
have a giant place in the history, and we can't run away from that at all. So please take your time. If you want to speak, you can speak. Just tell me whenever you want to.
Okay, I'm done. I can speak now.
Perfect.
Okay, so for me, how I see Napoleon, to
Mm,
me, he was just a white supremacist, just like all
mm,
other white supremacists, trying
mm,
to get power, covering up any traces that could
mm,
come up. Because, like, the way he thinks and
mm,
how white supremacy is, it wouldn't surprise us because that's how white people work, even in the offices. Like, we
mm,
see it, like, they would do anything
mm,
to hide the evidence no matter what.
mm,
Like the nature of it. So to me, it's the same as Napoleon. He was just doing exactly the same way
mm,
white supremacy works. So that
mm,
to me, I see him as a white supremacist who was there in the beginning of this whole thing
mm.
when it was starting to happen.
Yeah, most
Uh,
definitely.
And when I read about his family history, like all the European royalties are related because you read about them,
Mm,
like Napoleon's family, they were like marrying each other, sisters marrying brothers, like no matter what,
mm,
to take over the whole of Europe. So all these royal families in Europe are related. And what I know, all of them come from a city of Germany called Coburg,
mm,
because usually here, I think the Queen of England, the Saxe
mm,
and Coburg, isn't it
mm.
like their royal family name?
True, true, true. They
And
are German. Yeah, they are German descent. Yes, you're
yeah,
right.
and you know what's so strange? That city, Coburg, is the blackest city in Germany. Even their symbol is a black person's head. I think it's called
Mm,
Moa City.
mm.
Yeah, should I share it or
Yeah,
I
if
don't
you
know?
can, you can most definitely. You can share that in the
Yeah.
description box, or if you want to, you can do that there. Please share it on the description, or not the description, but the commenting section. Or if you want to, you can also do a duplicate and put that in the Discord
I'll,
server.
I just
Mm.
took a screenshot, so I will see if it is possible to just send a screenshot here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can put it on the Discord server, or if you want to, you can put it here on the description board. Just as a picture, you can insert pictures to the discussion board as well, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all up to you. It's all up to you.
Okay, I don't know how to do that.
Okay,
So
so it's better than you send it on to the Discord server, and everyone that wants to know anything about what she's talking about is
okay,
going to be. in the
I will
Discord
just
server.
I will send the text, the image
Mm,
to you to make things easier,
yeah.
since like a message. So I just took a screenshot of a
Yes.
YouTube video talking about that city and its coat of arms and like the image of it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like the entire city is like the blackest city in all of. I will take also like a link to the video, to the YouTube video showing the entire city.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Please do that. Put it on the Discord server and let more people, follow into that. Most definitely, people will appreciate
Yeah,
everything that can be, set in stone.
yeah. Okay, I
Uh,
sent in right now in the chat. I sent a
Perfect.
link to the YouTube video, and I sent a screenshot of an image in a text message to you because I don't know how all these things work yet. I'm very
Yeah,
new.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just. I will actually try to do something here if I can,
Yeah.
and
So
see if I can get this in.
yeah,
So
anyway,
that,
I've just sent it to you a link on YouTube showing the city. The city, even like they still hold on to the history of the Black Moors. They are called Black Moors. Like the
yeah,
entire village
Morris,
is
yes,
occupied.
yep, most definitely.
Yeah,
100% with you there.
yeah, yeah. But the
Mm,
strange thing is that all European royals come from that city and they don't even hide it. They still have the name. The street
mm,
name, the images there are all Black people. And
mm,
they say like it's like, I don't know, very old, but it doesn't seem that. It doesn't seem like 1,000 year old. It's like 400 years or something. But it's like
mm,
the evidence is all over the place. They even like the bars. Some of the bars are called more bars, and like the statues are all Black people, and it's like very well known in that city. They don't hide it, and their
mm.
coat of arms is a Black man with earrings. I mean, everything.
Yeah,
And
it's very, very, yeah, it's very obvious. Very
yeah,
obvious.
yeah. And the strange thing is where all the European royals come from there. Like
Mm,
that's where it all started. So to me, Napoleon is just a white supremacist who would just try to hide the information and everything. I don't think there's anything mystical special about him. He's just
mm,
like any white guy who just comes up and takes
mm,
power and starts to hide all the information and stuff like that. But when
yeah.
we go back to Egypt, like what I've come to learn, what really uh, I don't know what impacted me most is when I
Mm,
learned, like, our skin, like black skin, can
mm,
conduct electricity.
mm,
Like melanin can conduct electricity. So melanin was like, like here we have money, like you in electricity, it was like the moving, like, can you imagine? It's like social security number for your whole life. Like it was
mm,
a thing that people functioned on.
mm,
Can you imagine? You don't like it, something is like, maybe we could say money. We could say link it to money. Like you can't buy anything, you can't go anywhere. Because
mm,
imagine if you can conduct electricity from your own body, that
mm,
means there's no electricity poles. We don't know how they used to work back then. But
mm,
some evidence is showing like the pyramids were connected, like the pyramids in Egypt were connected to the pyramids in is it South America, like all
mm,
over the world. So there were energy. Like here we have like poles for electricity. So the
mm,
pyramids were like poles for electricity, but somehow it was connected to the body.
mm,
So imagine if you don't have melanin, you're invisible. It's like being without internet.
mm,
Yeah, so to me, this thing of white supremacy, I don't know whether it's somebody who lost their melanin and they started all these things because they had no
mm,
other way to survive,
mm,
or or it was somehow created connected to the creator and the Bible. Like they say Adam and Eve. Maybe the first Adam and Eve were those people who lost their melanin and they started this whole new. someone is writing something. They started this whole new thing of white supremacy, because
Mm. Keep it going. Keep it
anyway,
going.
anyway, I was trying to read the text.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just me. I'll handle it. What? Oh, she jumped out. Okay. That was it. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting from our sister.
Something had happened. I don't know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I
Yeah.
think someone, because like I think that somehow maybe the story of Adam and Eve, or all
Mm,
these stories of the beginning of the Bible, was just a story of a new creation
mm,
of maybe white people who had lost their melanin, and they had to find a way to survive on this planet.
mm,
So I don't know. To me, it's all connected, because when we look at the world today, it's all about skin color. There's so
mm,
much emphasis on it. It's a race, it's a competition. We don't, but it's really a big deal. Like if you
mm,
really observe it, that's all we about. That's all we are living on. Like whether
mm,
it's genetic survival is a big deal. And
mm,
to me, when I learned more about skin and melanin, it gave
mm,
me more understanding, because it's like it's in all the plants, it's in all the animals, it's in
mm,
everything except
mm,
white people.
mm,
So it's like when you like in those days, maybe it was like it functioned like electricity or money,
mm,
or like a life support. Like you couldn't exist without it in that kind of life.
mm,
And when it comes down to global warming, I think something like global warming had to happen for white people to be able to live on this planet without
mm,
the need
mm,
of melanin. Whether it
mm,
was they were allowed to do that, or
mm,
they were given a time list to exist on this planet,
mm.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is has to do with skin anyway. But when we hear, like some of our scientists, when they talk about global warming, they say it won't affect people with melanin,
Mm,
because it's just about the planet heating up. And this happened to global warming many, okay, not that many times, like two
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Like every 1,000 years or 2,000, global warming happens. And
Yeah.
obviously, there's always one particular group of people that survive the global warming. These
Mm,
black people, we've been here for always. And
mm,
like our melanin can adjust to the extremely cold uh,
mm,
climate, and can adjust to the extremely hot climate.
mm.
So,
There was
with,
another period. There was a period actually. There was another period where we had um, we had a little ice age. It was a little ice age around. I think it was around 200 to 300 years ago. There
mhm.
was a little ice age. Yeah, there was a little ice age at that time.
Yeah,
I think it was around. I think it was lasted for like 10 years or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how many years. I will look it up again because it's one of my studies I study in school. So
yeah,
it's about paleoclimatology. So what we study there is different weather patterns and how it affects us as humans and the Earth itself. So this is actually something I study as well. So I know clearly about ice ages, and I think one small ice age were around 300, 200, 300 years ago, where you had people migrating from Europe to other warmer places because of the ice age. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
because they
so to
couldn't handle
me,
it. It was too cold.
yeah, because to me, how I see it is somehow like it seems like white supremacy has kind of given up. Because the way I
Mm,
see the state of things, and it's somehow like the spirit of white supremacy is connected to every white person.
mm,
And you can see when they're walking today, nowadays, there's so much hopelessness,
mm,
and like everything has ended.
mm.
in the spirit. And like right now when the war started, everyone is panicking, like you can just feel it, like the
You
whole.
shouldn't. The people, yeah, the people shouldn't panic because this happens every 20 years or 30 years. Something new
Yeah.
happens, so we shouldn't be, we shouldn't be shocked
Mm,
uh, as we are. But what I can say is that um, it's just better for them if they want to fight off. Let them fight off.
yeah, but
Because
what I
as long
know
as it
so
doesn't
far.
affect, as
Mm,
long as it doesn't affect the rest of the earth or the rest of the world, I think people will just need to handle their things. And I think the best way is also, of course, is diplomatic. There's something diplomatic has to happen so that we don't have any nuclear fallouts. I don't think it will happen because it's too much at stake. But I think most when it comes to theories of white supremacy, etc. I think it is in its dying days. Yes, it is most definitely in its dying days, and it's a good sign that it is in its dying days, because the Earth itself is going to be more browner and browner every 10 years. So
mm,
it's nothing they can, it's nothing they can hinder. In 10 to 20 years, there will be one out of every three person will be a black person or African. One in every
yeah.
three.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing I do not know about, because
Yeah.
if this thing has been this jealous, this
Mm,
evil, if it knows it's going to die out, it won't just die out. It will
mm.
take as many as possible with it. So
Yeah, yes. But the thing is, we have to also be a little bit more optimistic about certain things, especially when it comes to nature and its ways. Nature has its ways, and nature always speaks. And at the end of the day, nature will speak upon their evil plans.
yeah.
So I let that be up to God and nature to
Mm,
handle,
yeah.
um, more
But
than
I
me
wanted to say
standing there.
something else before I forget. I lose
Yeah,
my,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
like,
train of thoughts.
connecting, yeah, connecting all this to what you're talking about, the vaccines and stuff like that. To
Mm,
me, I think all these vaccines and pandemic is somehow a lie, to say that, oh, the reason why people are dying is because of some virus or something. To me, it's
mm,
because of this thing. Okay, we also don't understand it completely about
yeah,
this thing of global warming and how it can affect your body if you don't have
yeah.
melanin. So I think all these pandemics will increase and increase. They say, is this virus is from, maybe it's just global warming happening
Mm,
in these different
mm.
ways, because
Yeah, because of global warming. Global warming itself. Global warming is just a theory. It's not actually facts.
Mhm.
That the Earth is warming up,
Yeah.
because the facts has actually gone against that, because of uh, anthropogenic changes, weather patterns changes. You see it in a scale of 100 years. You see that it goes up and down like a roller coaster. The
Mm,
weather goes up and it goes down. The weather goes up and it goes down. So it goes up and high and gets warm, and then it goes down again and it gets cold. And people don't
yeah.
understand that our effect on the climate is that small. I mean, anthropogenic. That is our own hands doing the climate change. Yeah. It's that small that it doesn't even make sense to have that as like an argument for global warming. Yeah, people
Mm,
arguing, saying, "Oh, we are spitting out too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere." Yeah, and that creates the greenhouse gases and the global warming through the greenhouse gas. But it's not even true. It's not even true. It's not a fact. That
mhm,
we are the cause. Yeah, it's the Earth itself that goes through cycles. So I think it's every 1,000 years or every 2,000 years, you will have a change, a shift in the global the global rotation around the sun. So sometimes it goes closer to the sun, and sometimes it goes further from the sun. And when it goes further from the sun, that's when you have an ice age. That's when you're starting to get an ice age because you're further away from the sun. Yeah, that's a natural cause. It's not a
Mhm.
human cause. So when people say we are a cause to this CO2 emissions, we are a cause to the global change, the global warming, it's not even correct. It's a false narrative, and they are using it to push legislations. These
Yeah.
legislations can be carbon tax and other taxes that are pushed upon the population in order for them to have more power on you as a collective.
Yeah,
So,
but that's the thing. That's one thing
mm,
before I lose my track.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you say like the planet goes can become colder or
mm,
warmer depending on which global warming we're in.
mm,
Maybe the planet itself has a way to adjust to any
mm,
of those changes. Because uh, if you don't have melanin, there's no way you're going to be able to adjust to those changes. You will have challenges. Maybe
mm,
this pandemic is a result of those things and it will continue to increase. But maybe it's not even pandemics, it's just that people's nature cannot adjust to those things. So they will have to make up things while they are dying. They start maybe wars to, and just not to bring up the truth of
mm, mm,
the true nature of who they are.
mm,
So I don't know. To me, this wars and pandemic
mm.
it looks like suicide to me.
Yeah,
Just
Marcus, but when it comes to climate change, we can put that on the side because it's just a theory. We can't say that through anthropogenic actions or factors that the Earth is heating up. It's not even true. There are natural causes, like I said.
Mm,
You can look it up yourself. It's a theory made by a person called Milankovitch. So if you want to, you can go and check it out yourself on your own time. So the Milankovitch theory is that the Earth goes through cycles of rotating around the around the sun. I think it's every 1,000 years or every 2,000 years. I'm not sure exactly what date, but it changes cycles. And when it changes cycles, the rotation itself goes sometimes further away from the sun, and when you go further away from the sun as a planet, it becomes colder in the planet. Not only that, you have other natural causes to ice ages. You have volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions in the past have been a major cause for global warming and global cooling because the soot and the dust and the particles that comes from the actual volcano itself spreads out to the stratosphere, yeah, and it covers the sun. And when it
mm,
covers the sun for a long period of time, yeah, that causes global cooling to start to form instead of global warming. Do you understand that now? So when it comes to anthropogenic and natural causes, there are two different things. And I personally think that the cause for global warming or global cooling, which is another theory, is not because of anthropogenic factors. It's more has to do with natural factors on Earth and outside of Earth in space.
mm.
Yeah.
But
So it's
anyway,
just, yeah. So these things, do not believe in them all the time. Go and do some research on it, thorough research on global warming and global cooling as another theory as well. Check it out, global cooling as well. That is another theory of what's going on. Is that is going to peak a climax in the heat, and then it will go down. And when it hit the climax, it's just going to go downwards, and it's going to be colder, a colder climate, and that's going to lead to permafrost in the Arctic to then rise again. When the permafrost starts to rise, we then have a new ice age on the way, because the colder, the more permafrost that gets in layers and layers and layers in the Arctic, Siberia, etc., the colder the Earth. It's like a refrigerator, yeah,
Yeah.
a refrigerator effect, yeah. So that's how it's going to get colder instead of getting warmer. And also the blocking from the sun through soot, dust, smog, particles, and volcanic ash that will cover the sun. And when it covers the sun, that's when you have a new ice age on the way.
Anyway, so to me, all these things, pandemics and global
Yeah,
warming and
yeah,
these new wars,
yeah,
is like a lot of white people are complaining, yes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's this theory I learned it from Nelly Fury, the
Mm,
white sacrifice. Anytime before a big thing or when they feel like they are losing control, there has
mm,
to have to be a white sacrifice. And right now, as I see it, for the past 4 years is
yeah,
really wise sacrifice, and this now is gearing up to be really really wise sacrifice, to make it seem like it's not about race. So
mm,
I don't know, like, what does it mean if it's all not true? If we are saying that the okay, the pandemic was exaggerated, I don't even really get it. Like, I have never worn a mask. We never had any rules and regulations in
mm,
Sweden. Like, I've
mm,
lived
mm,
as
mm,
normal,
mm,
so I don't even know about, like, I can't, I don't know. Like,
mm,
I've never had it. I've never worn a mask. I'm moving around Stockholm, so I don't know.
mm.
And then there is global warming. If we're saying it's not true, but then why people, like, they are cutting down everything? I mean, the businesses are being
Mm.
destroyed just to secure, to save the planet and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
carbon emissions, etc. Yeah, etc.
Yeah,
Yes.
if we're saying all those things are not
Yeah.
true, but it's still like really gearing up to, like,
It's because
it's
they
like,
want more control. That's a way for them to control means of resource. It's for them to control the means of resource. For
mm,
example, oil export, import.
yeah,
Second of all, the prices on oil, petroleum, taxation. You have
mm,
carbon tax. Now you have carbon tax. Every time you drive a car, you have to pay carbon tax for carbon
yeah.
emissions.
But in Africa, we don't pay those things. That's
Of
what I'm saying.
course,
Is
because it's
it's
still
like,
develop, it's still developing in many areas.
yeah,
So
but it's still like really a lot of white sacrifice for these past few years. It's
mm,
like, what's coming up? Is it like they have lost control,
mm.
or are they
First of all,
really dying out?
yeah. The
Or
first of all, the reason why you don't have, for example, these tax, carbon tax, etc., in Africa is okay. First is for development, is development issues, infrastructural development issues that we have in our country, just because of corruption. So that's a thing by itself. Not only that, but if you look at the MOTs, there are no MOTs on African vehicles. Many of them they just drive around. They've been driving around for 30 years. No MOTs, no check for how bad the pollution, how bad that car pollutes. So in Africa is a very bad thing. It's a very very dangerous thing. Is pollution, and pollution kills a lot more people than people think. Pollution from the car itself, the emission that comes from the car kills people because it's not only carbon dioxide that comes out of the car, it's a lot more that comes out of that car. Hence the reason why you have certain mechanics that needs to work in a car in order for it to be fit to drive on the road.
yeah,
So you have
but
to have,
either way,
that's why you have to have an MOT every year, because
mm,
they have to check and inspect that you don't pollute too much, and you don't actually, because pollution itself is a big killer in Africa. Actually, people don't know it's an invisible killer in Africa. You can check it out for yourself in big
uh,
cities.
yeah, like, I think concluding to what you started to speak about, with the vaccines and,
Mhm.
I don't know, and
I,
Egypt.
wa- I won't speak. I won't speak too much about vaccinations. All I did was I spoke about the article that was written by Mr. Tella, where he spoke about the new scramble for Africa, the relationship that Europe has with Africa that has been unchanged, while China and Russia has shown more interest or increasing interest into the continent. That's what I spoke about before. But yeah, the vaccination apartheid is one of the big factors of the discussion as well. But we're not going
Yeah.
to discuss too much about that because many people have been scrutinized just because they spoke about that topic about vaccinations and going
It's
through
even funny to
conspiracies
talk
and stuff
about
like that. So
vaccinations in 20, like at this point.
yeah,
It's a
so
bit
that's why I
funny.
don't want to speak too much about the vaccination and the problematic issues
Mm,
evolving that. I want to speak more in an educational manner so that more people can get involved in our great change that we want for Africa.
mm,
And like you said, you're from Central Africa, right? Or
yeah,
from yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, there's a lot of things that needs to be done in Africa for Africa to rise. We need a lot of projects. We'll have to. We need a lot of investments from our governments, but our governments are inadequate in many ways.
mm,
Look at what Museveni went through right now in Uganda when he's speaking about. We're speaking about the airport, the international airports that a Chinese firm took over. So now the only international airport in Uganda is taken over by Chinese. Can you imagine?
yeah. And when it comes to
Problem.
Chinese,
There's a big problem.
yeah, they I know I hear a lot about talking about Chinese and the fear of it, because
Mm,
we are used to white supremacy and white people, and
mm,
as sick the whole system is, as sick as they are and mentally ill on a daily
mm,
basis. I don't know if many people are not aware that the Asians are much sicker. They have been affected by this white supremacy much
mm,
worse than us.
mm, mm,
So if you think this sickness of white supremacy, like they, I mean, like how they look at skin color
mm,
is much deeper than white people. Like
yeah.
it's been ingrained in them
Mm,
is really, really worse. And their way of thinking,
mm,
I don't know why, but it's completely different. It's not
mm,
logical.
mm. Yeah,
Okay.
because it's all have to do with number and metrics.
Yeah.
And also the colonial past that China and many other countries in Asia have gone through. I've
Because they
seen pictures and
see,
images and videos of European monarchs throwing bread pieces and crumbs in China, and people ran through, because it was a famine in China back in the days, so people ran and grab the small pieces of bread like it was flying ducks.
yeah,
They were running towards the bread like it was ducks, not
yeah.
humans. They were not humans in this picture. They were not
No,
humanized. So they have the Asians and the others, that have been stricken by the colonial past, have even more entrenched.
extremely
Yeah,
intense. Like they
yeah,
used to
more
even be much
entrenched than
darker.
the whites. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
their skin used to be even much darker than they are today.
Hmm.
And like their entire way of thinking, the logical thinking, the human way of thinking has been completely broken down.
Yeah, it's been changed
So
a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, most
but me, I
definitely.
don't even fear them that much.
Because
Is
you
and
shouldn't. You
and in
shouldn't.
their mindset, it's like the only thing that's important, like their goal is to be white supremacist, is to be in
Yeah,
that position. So
yeah.
when you're interacting with each and every one of them, for them, when they meet a black person, is their chance, is their opportunity to be white.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. I understand you most definitely. And it's
yeah,
because we Africans in the continent have not taken up the actual job to secure our sovereignty, to secure, our means of resource, to secure investments, to secure that things will not be taken away from us because of lazy signing of papers. We
Yeah.
can't do this anymore. We have to as a continent, we have to evolve. We can't do this every 10 years or every 20 years. It's like it's a repeated broken album. It goes back and back and back.
Yeah,
It doesn't
but
stop.
it's because we don't understand white supremacy. We don't understand the depth of it.
Yeah,
Like,
but we don't understand ourselves. That's the biggest problem. We
yeah,
don't understand ourselves. That's the biggest problem. When people say, we need to look out. No, we don't need to look out first. We need to look in. We need to look in first. We need to look at us. We need to look at things in third perspective. We can't look at them and blame them all the time, because we
no,
have to blame ourselves as well. We have to take accountability. We have to take accountability
yeah,
for the
actually,
problems that we have.
do you know what today I was thinking? Like, I don't know how long white supremacy has been around, whether it's 1,000 years or 400 years. I've realized white people haven't changed. It's us black people who have changed. It's
Yes.
we who are developing, evolving. But white people, it would still, like, you could literally lynch someone right now in front of the entire country and no one would say anything, because they are
Yeah.
still, like, these shootings police do is literally lynching, and they don't care. So they've
Mm,
never really changed at all. It's we who have changed. It's we who have to evolve and change.
mm,
It's like, we, to me, how I say, we are dealing with a mental illness, and we are fighting with someone who doesn't hear, who doesn't see. When we are like protesting and screaming, all these things is pointless. Like,
mm,
we are on a different way of thinking. They don't see what we see. So
mm.
it's up to us to change ourselves, to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will go on for I don't know how
Yeah.
long.
We need to
A
change our
million.
ways. Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to change it. We need to change our ways.
it's
We
us
need to
who have
look at
to change.
ourselves first before we can look at them and tell them, you're the problem right now. We are the problem. Right now,
Yeah,
we are our
we
own biggest
yeah,
problem. We are our own biggest enemy.
yeah.
We have to look at
'Cause-
ourselves. We have to look at that as, being partial. We have to also look at it being rational. We need to look at it more of objective. You have to, as individuals, as also politically mature individuals, we have to look at it differently. We can't always point fingers, because there are always three fingers pointing back at you.
yeah, because to me,
So
right now,
that's why
honestly,
you need to stop.
like,
Yeah.
I do not think white people will ever change. So I wouldn't even waste my time to argue
Mm,
them of what they've done, or they don't see it that way. They would never understand it. If they were to understand it, they would have understood it long time ago. But like
mm,
right now, they are let's say like this war with Russia. If they say the solution to end this war was to, I don't know, to kill off a country in Africa, it wouldn't be even like, what? No, it would be just do it as long as we are safe. So, like, the
mm,
way of thinking is completely different. I don't
mm,
think they will ever change.
mm,
It's like, why? Why would they bother to change if there are no consequences? There's
mm,
nothing to lose. I mean, we have completely different ways of thinking and different
mm, mm,
morals of thinking. And
mm,
most people don't see it that way. They see, yeah, it's just skin color. We're all human beings. But still, we have completely different ways of thinking and
mm,
understanding things and
mm.
feeling things. And all these things we are pointing and trying to explain is all pointless. It's all
Pointless.
like, especially like to me, in Sweden, what I'm noticing, like
Mm,
the activists, like most of them who are men, and generally most activists who are men, who are black men,
mm,
the way of pleading for black people is not like let's go build for ourselves. It's more like seeking for acceptance.
mm,
So like that's how I see it. I don't know
mm,
why it's mostly black men, but it's more seeking for acceptance and complaining. Like you're explaining to someone who will ever understand you. It's like they
mm.
have a hope that white people will change or they
Yeah,
will
yeah,
get better.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like they will never change. They will never
Yeah,
get better.
yeah.
Like,
It's a
uh,
savior complex. It's a
yeah,
savior complex. Yeah, and this
yeah,
is that's the thing. That's actually a theory, and I will actually put that up as well as one of those things because we have to change uh, physiologically,
mm,
mentally, spiritually, and and also environmentally. We have to
yeah.
change the
That's
way we think, the way we speak, the way
mm,
we, you know, live with each other. We need to
yeah,
start changing the things that we want to see in this world,
yeah.
or
But
else
yeah,
they're just going to be hijacked like always. We see all of these,
always.
we will always be hijacked. So
Yeah,
that's why we need to start building for Africa and for Africans. That's why I have this channel. That's why I have the Discord server for people to come in if they are from African descent or from the diaspora, like Kale. To speak about these things is very important because we need people like us that are
mm,
like-minded to speak about these things, but not only speak but also act. You
mm-hmm,
understand? We need to start forming things,
yeah,
forming things, because that's what we need to do. Because our speeches, our interactions through vocalism also forms things. It forms into
mm,
something, into being. Yeah. So we need to understand that our words form, shape. It shapes the reality we see today. So every word that we use, we have to understand is very critical. That words are a factor that is very, very, very important for us to understand. Words, understand the meaning of words. By etymology encyclopedia, yeah, and read the words, the meaning of words, and you will understand how they think or how these oppressors have been thinking for the past 400 years.
yeah. Me, I'm not even
Not,
angry with them. I
I don't
don't
know.
blame them for anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think for them they don't see it as wrong. They're just doing things according to their mental
The
capacity.
nature, yeah,
Yeah.
according to
Like
their nature, and
according
that's
like
yeah.
like for example, like all these things, like I was also thinking like what us black people want we will have to do in the future, like
Mm,
we will have to also go to the moon. Like literally if you look at everything, even at other planets, it's like everything is desolate, everything is destroyed. It's like whatever happened, it just didn't destroy us as a people, it destroyed everything. We will
mm,
have to restore everything. We will also have to have interest to go to the moon and stuff like that. But you
mm,
see, white people want to go to the moon, and the way they go to the moon, it doesn't matter what they destroy on the way. Because I was reading once time that there was so much rubbish piling
mhm,
up in
yeah,
space, and they didn't even have anywhere to throw it. It's
mm,
like their way of thinking is like, okay, we're going to do this. It doesn't matter whom we kill in the way,
mm,
what we destroy, as long as we get whatever we're getting.
mm,
And this mindset is in every little thing, is in
mm,
everything. It's like it's all about what we're going to get, and that's
yeah.
it. Like nobody else matters.
That's when we come in. That's when we come into specific ideologies like liberalism. That's one sort of ideology that propelled them to do the things they did and the way they did it as well. Like you
Mm.
just said,
But they don't see it as wrong.
individualism, etc. It is a way of thought. It's an ideology more than anything
Mhm.
else. Yeah, and as
Mhm.
also a norm. It becomes a norm. So whenever something becomes a norm, it becomes accepted. It becomes accepted. So before, back in the days, it was accepted for white people to say certain things towards black people because it became a norm. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
something becomes a norm, it becomes acceptable.
Yeah, but
So
there's
that's
one
why,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
So that's
one thing
why we
that's.
need to. So that's why we need to form these institutions so that we can form the norm, the new
Mm-hmm.
norm, the new
Yeah.
norm of us coming together, speaking about these things, forming our organizations, forming this new Africa and this new change.
Mhm.
We have to be these people.
Yeah.
We can't wait anymore because our
Yeah.
children
But
are
I
growing up.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think our biggest problem is that we don't understand this thing and we don't understand whom we are dealing with and the mentality we're
Mm,
dealing with. It's like
mm,
me, like I remember, like if I was seeing someone dying or hurt, it's like I never remember anyone telling me like
mm,
how you're supposed to treat Chinese people or how you're
mm,
supposed to treat people whom you meet from the, like no one like you just knew. But
mm,
here it's like I really realized like you could decide today in white countries that it is illegal to take care of babies, and it becomes like that. Like
mm,
it's just a matter of decision. It's like
mm,
you decide we are not going to mistreat black people anymore, and it just happens. No, the next day we are going to mistreat them, and it just happens. It's like a robot. It's like it is. There's
mm,
no logic. It's
mm,
either it's accepted or not. It's like
mm,
there's no inner self understanding of
mm.
what I'm supposed to do, what is right.
There's no in between. Yeah.
Yeah, the like that inner voice is not there. It's like
Mm,
anything can be anything.
mm,
So, and
yeah.
it's different for how we think. We don't need someone to tell us, oh, you're not supposed to kill people. It's
Mm,
actually not a good thing. It's just like you have some, your nature just tells you is something, you feel guilty after you've done
mm,
it.
mm,
But there's no guilt unless like someone goes to jail or something.
mm.
So
Yeah,
it's
you're right. You're 100% correct, Luna.
yeah,
You're
but it's like
100%.
we don't really understand the depth of this thinking on how
Mm,
it's like we've been so brainwashed to worship all these things, but it's all like a mental illness. Like
mm,
after like in there's nothing new. There's not that I think that's why it's also dying out because there is
mm,
really nothing new to add on. Like it will continue like this. It's all about
mm,
controlling, destroy and control and just live
mm,
in fear. Anything new, just destroy it. If you don't understand it, study. Like for example, I realized like the most in these western countries, they study every little thing, whether it's a plant, an animal, but for what reason? To control it. Because if you don't know anything about I don't know, spinach, it's the fear of the unknown. It's like you study to control it. Like when you've studied everything about it, then it's like, you find peace in that. But it's all
mm,
about control. But we as black people in the future, when we're not fighting racism, we have to study the planet and the moon and everything, not to control them, but to live together with them, to communicate with them. But all these studies and the sciences is all about control. Like
mm.
that's the reason
Control
of
the
the
mean of resource. Yes, control
yeah,
the mean of resource. Because if you
yeah,
control resource, you control humans.
yeah.
And
But
yeah.
it's all like you study lions, you study how to control them. You're not studying how to live with
Mm,
them and see how
mm.
farther you can go. No, you wouldn't want, like white people wouldn't want lions to start to speak. Like what? That's right. But we wouldn't mind it. We want them
Yeah.
to speak. We want to learn more. We want to go further. We want to expand.
Mm,
And but it's a different thinking, and we have to really, I don't know, but like to we have to, I think maybe most of us understand it, but we don't want to accept it. We
mm,
keep suppressing it when the thought comes out, like, oh, maybe it's all like a mental illness, oh, maybe they're all mental. But no, we suppress it. And then
mm,
you see mostly, I'm not being gender, I'm not creating a gender war. It's mostly black men who just never want to accept it. That
mm.
is as evil as it seems. So yeah. Anyway.
Perfect. Good. Very good assumption. Very good. You're making it clear for the audience and for us at Great South Africa, and we appreciate you coming in and speak your mind And as I said to you, I also appreciate that you are joining the Great South Africa on Discord and the movement. Yeah, I'm very happy for that. And if you have any other friends or relatives or anyone that want to, join or be a part of this, friends, whatever, please let them go into the Discord server and become a part of the movement as we are growing. We are more than 100 people now in the server itself, and we are growing every week, every weekend. Hopefully, we can grow into becoming a lot more than we are today. Because the more we are, the tougher the language, and the tougher our language and our speech can become. And the more we can actually, propel in our future for our future generations. I want to also ask Kale, do you have anything to put in if you're still there, my friend? Let's see if he's there. Are you still there, Kale?
He's gone.
You might.
Oh,
You
he's
might have gone
sleeping.
already. No, I think it's just the long discussions that we've had, and I
Yeah.
understand. I understand. What we can do is to continue, do a little bit of a recap tomorrow, Lorna and Kale as well, if you want to join. And we can just discuss a little bit further on, certain topics that you want to discuss, Lorna, and to see where we can go forward in the struggle. Um, I want to say thank you. How long has this been going on now? Let me see.
An hour? What? I've been talking
No,
for an hour.
yeah, it goes very quick. An hour runs very
Mm.
quickly, and we are actually having it for more than an hour. Sometimes we have it for 2 hours, so it can stretch quite long. And when you speak, you tend to forget the time. But I want to say thank you for coming in, and hopefully we can have a recap discussion tomorrow. I will send you a little bit more information about that. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, you can send information. By the way, you're going to have an interview, but you didn't have an interview.
Oh, you didn't have?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did.
we were supposed to have it today, but as I have every Friday is a session, so it's an open basket session that I have every Friday. So that's why I tend to have the recaps on Saturdays. If we have a very good interview that we can form in Greater Africa, we also have them on Saturdays. So sometimes we do have some recaps. Some have been live, some have not been live. But tomorrow will definitely be a live session with you, and we can have a small little interview to discuss certain topics that are very crucial for the African diaspora and for the future. Most definitely, you can just tell me what time is best for you, but that you can leave that for the Discord server. And yeah, I
Yeah,
want to say thank you so much. Would you like to have that interview tomorrow, Lorna?
yeah, we can have it tomorrow, but maybe evening is best because
Perfect.
I don't know what I'm going to be, how my
Perfect.
day is gonna go tomorrow. I
Perfect.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, evening is good because I
Per-
think I also my mind is much more clearer.
Perfect. So I
Because
will put that in the Discord server that we're going to have the interview tomorrow. I don't know how long it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be more than an hour. But I really thank you guys for coming in today, and yeah, thank you so much
yeah,
for coming in, Lorna and Kale, and hopefully we'll see you next time, next week, Open Basket Friday, every Friday at 9 o'clock p.m. GMT London time, where we discuss different topics every week. We are trying to mix, some related news that we have today with a combination of educational based theories, prehistorical aspects of Africa to form a more conclusive vision for the youth and for our future generations. So I want to thank you guys for coming in, and let's continue the discussion on Discord server. And everyone else, thank you so much for today. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to say also that we are going to have the interview tomorrow, and we're going to discuss some topic. I'm not sure what topic is going to be, but I want to say thank you everyone for showing up on the YouTube channel that we have today, and also what we want to discuss tomorrow is going to be something about Pan-Africanism, I think, or something that has to do with just global issues. But also I want to thank you guys for tuning in to N1P Podcast. N1P Podcast is a Pan-African podcast with the aim to educate the people and anyone interested in the change that you want to see in this future coming years. Be a part of this, be a part of something that can actually change this earth. Please join the Discord server. The Discord server's little link is in the description box, where it says join our Discord server, just above the actual hashtags that I had there. And also be a part of the change. Please go in. I have a petition that has to be signed as well. And that petition is a petition that we have for Great Africa and for the change that we want to perpetrate for our children and for our future generations. I want to say thank you everyone that have been guests here today. Salma is one giving us a little bit of a comment. And yes, it's going to be tomorrow evening. I would say tomorrow evening. I want to say thank you so much. Open basket, closed basket. Peace and blessings and power to the people.